Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. The reason I'm doing this video is because I really want to provide some additional details. I had shared the dream, the 3 days of darkness, the dream I had I think it was actually like 6 months back. And there are things in the dream that I didn't share that I really want to add so that in the hopes it will help somebody. You know, like almost like Noah before the flood. You know, before the flood, Noah was warning people, and a lot of people laughed at him, I'm sure, and thought he was crazy and said all kinds of stuff. But this is for everybody, but it's specifically, this is for one person. I don't even know who this person is, honestly. But I'm really doing this specifically for one person, but many people can get much out of this. But it's directed to specifically one person, and they will recognize who they are because I'm going to provide some very specific details towards the end of this video that is going to be a revelation to them. And I don't even know who this person is. I mean, only God knows, and God and they know, because I don't know who it is. You know, God had given me previously spoken word and prophetic dreams. Up to this point, they've all come true. And there's been a few things that still I'm waiting to come true because they haven't happened yet. But I've actually shared those videos in my YouTube channel. And there might be other people, a few people that watch my channel secretly that don't say it, but there could be a few people that watch my channel and see this video, and they will know the location of this, where the events and prophetic dream from this prophetic dream will come true, because the actual place that I shared previously in this 3 days of darkness dream is a real place. They will know whose house this is by the descriptions I give later at the video. And I want to share that the reason why I can share that that this is going to happen. I 3 years ago, I was given a spoken word, and I was given prophetic dreams. So there was one spoken word and 2 dreams that I was given. The prophetic dreams were the war in the Ukraine prophetic dream I was given, and I shared that in a video. That was 3 years ago. And it's playing out exactly the way that God showed me in the prophetic dream, exactly, to a T. The war in Ukraine between Ukraine and Russia. And you can look it up, and I've actually did a confirmation video on that as well, that it's actually showing exactly the way God showed me. And the second one is the second one was the U.S. terror attacks and attempted civil war. Now, the attempted civil war part hasn't happened yet, but you can clearly see that there's a ramping up of terror attacks that are very politically motivated, and they're doing it for a reason. They want to start civil war in this country for different reasons, because one particular group are losing very bad, so they have to resort to that. And then the spoken word given to me, there were 2. One was 3 days of darkness. God gave me the word 3 days of darkness, and that's all he said. Didn't say anything else. And the second one he gave me, God had shown me about that same time. So all those 2 videos, or the 2 prophetic dreams that I shared in videos, and the 2 spoken words were 3 days of darkness, and the other one was Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. I knew exactly what that meant, and I had shared it in the video, but I took it down because the reason I took it down, it's not because it was wrong, but God had basically said, he doesn't want me defending myself. He's going to defend me. So I had done probably about 5 videos that I took down, not because they weren't true, but because God is my defender. So I don't have to speak on what other people are doing to me, what have done to me over a couple of years, even many years, some people. The word that was given to me was Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. And I shared in a previous video that I had tried to notify somebody that there was going to be a terrorist attack at the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. Somebody was going to try running barreling through the front door and try killing many people. That it was a politically motivated attack. And so I think this was about, I'm just guessing at the date, but maybe 6 months ago, a guy walked into the Hartsfield. Now, he first walked into the airport to spec it out real quickly. Then he was going out to his truck to get his gun. It was either semi-automatic rifle or automatic rifle. And he was going to get his gun to go back in the airport, start shooting people at the entrance to the airport. And I had tried to warn somebody that this was going to happen, and they ignored the warning. I physically wrote down Hartsfield-Jackson Airport on a 3x5 card to try to warn the person. The only reason it didn't happen, where hundreds of people died, or up to 100 people, is because a family member got onto the fact that he was going to go to the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport and kill a whole bunch of people, that somehow he either said something randomly, and a family member caught on and called the FBI, and they tackled him. The first time he went around to look at the airport, they tackled him so that he was unable to get his gun from the car, because they told him, he said he's going to go kill people at the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. So this literally happened about 6 months ago, or so, I can't remember exactly, but somewhere, you can look it up if you want to. But that's a confirmation for people to know that event actually was going to happen, and by the grace of God, it didn't happen because of a family member blew him in to the FBI. And I've had a bunch of people mock me that say, well, for a lot of reasons. I have had people heavily mock me for all kinds of things in the religious community. Specifically, even there's a YouTuber, there's a big YouTuber, a male YouTuber, that's in the prophetic space that I think actually watches my channel, or somehow he pays attention to me. And I put out a video about 3 Days of Darkness, and shortly after, he put out this video about that the 3 Days of Darkness is not real, it's not going to happen. And he's got a lot of followers. He's got a big following, but I think actually he pays attention to my channel. So, or he somehow knows about me. And he's got a huge platform. So, anyways, so I don't pay attention to that stuff. I just, honestly, this is what God told me. He's always been right when he tells me stuff, so I 100% believe when I tell you 3 Days of Darkness is going to happen, it's going to happen. And exactly the way he showed me in this dream. So I'll start with the dream. And basically, we were in a house. It was a party house. Now, as a kid, I used to grow up, and I wasn't this big partier, but I was around party people. I went to people's houses a lot that were, had these parties going on. So it was drinking, drugs and sleeping around and all that stuff. And you know what I mean? That kind of party. So I also believe this is a church group that's doing this. So that's kind of the background of it. And so, but I was just hanging out the party, and I wasn't, I'm not a person that drinks. I quit drinking because basically God told me to quit drinking, and I did. So I'm at this party. There's someone else there that's a man in the prophetic dream that was basically like, he was half awake, so he was half awake to prophetic things, but it was also still like to party, So we looked outside that day, and we started realizing that something strange is going on in the sky. There's some kind of things that are very abnormal in the sky happening that everybody's seeing. But there was also, there was a difference between day and night, timing-wise. It's maybe like an hour or two difference or something that we saw that was like, this is different, something's not right. But there's also a whole bunch of people in the house partying, drinking heavily, getting involved in all kinds of stuff, probably smoking, that kind of stuff, immorality, I was hanging out with them, but I wasn't partaking in it. But this friend that was kind of halfway doing it, also realized, hey, something's going on. And I warned the person, it's the 3 Days of Darkness. And they believed me. Now, the party people went out and they went to party somewhere else. So they took their party somewhere else. This was maybe like a pre-party before the after-party kind of deal situation. But they basically went somewhere else to party. Me and this other guy, or masculine figure, whoever it is, we realized, hey, this is it. I mean, we got to really take precautions here. And so we decided to start with the 3 Days of Darkness. We started to put blankets over the windows, and we started closing off entrances to the house or the apartment. There was a back area that had like a sunroom in the back. And we were stuffing, blankets in the cracks in the windows, because they were these kind of like aluminum windows. We couldn't close them all the way. And actually the windows, they were those, I don't even describe it, maybe like 70s style aluminum windows that, are not always, this style, if you've ever dealt with them, but they're not easy to close, and you have to kind of force them shut, and sometimes, or some of them. When I was having this dream, it felt like it was very soon. I said it was maybe days to weeks away when I had it. And so it was going to happen soon. And the dream kept on reappearing. Like I kept on having, I knew it was the same dream I was having, but I don't always have reoccurring dreams. And usually when they're reoccurring dreams, there's something that's real, that's happening or about to happen. And then I have to ask God, please let me know what the dream is, because the feeling I go through is the same feeling every night. That's the background of the dream. But my friend and I, we started stuffing stuff in the windows. There was a gate outside that was a wooden gate. It was probably like a wooden fence or something. So we started like trying to barricade the gate with stuff, with furniture, stuff laying outside or whatever, to make sure that nobody can get in the back gate. And then we were stuffing things in the windows that didn't close, and then we were putting blankets over the windows, making sure there was no light that we could see. And it was like a terrifying, went through 3 days of just uneasiness and terror, and we heard screams outside. We heard, it was, we couldn't tell if it was demons or people that they were attacking, and it was very scary, very unease, and just felt like we barely got through. We were hoping that we secured the house well enough, but we felt like we didn't. And then we were very terrified to hear what was going on outside. It sounded like people were dying. These demons or people were coming after people, and it just sounded very scary. That's kind of the gist of the dream. And then the dream ended, and then there was finally, we got to the end of the 3 days, and it was like the light came, and that was when the dream ended, and we didn't know what happened to the party people. That was it. We didn't know. So that's kind of how the whole thing went. Now, what I didn't share, I said that this is going to be a real place. So the people that watch this video are going to know whose house this is. This is a regular party house, so there's going to be a few people that actually know. I'm going to give more of a description of how it looked to me. I'll just start with this. There was, I think it was 3 stairs that went down into this sunroom. It was like a Florida room or something like you would call it. There was something red in the room. I don't know if it was the carpet, or there was a wall painted red, or the walls were painted red, or there was, the left side was just a wall. Now it could have been like cherry paneling or just a painted red. That was the left side. There was a long rectangular Florida room. So the left side just basically was a wall. On the right side, there were that's where the windows were. I can't remember if they were vertical or horizontal, but it was those kind of like crappy aluminum framed windows. If you know the style, And that's where we were trying to put all the blankets on, to tape to the windows, to try to stuff things in the windows to make sure they all close, because maybe some of the handle cranks were missing, the handles. It's a typical Florida room. They're not built really well. So we had to go down 3 stairs to get into it. It's a long rectangular, and the windows on the right side. And I think it must have been a crappy, style aluminum door at the end of it, at the end of the Florida room. And then I think that there was a walkway going out to the right, and the wooden gate, that half broken wooden gate, must have been like a broken hinge or something on the gate, barely closed, was towards the right side. And I think I remember there being dark green bushes, whether they were round or rectangular, I don't quite remember. But there was bushes as well, and possibly white stone on the ground, next to the bushes and stuff. Something like that. And then the gate was wooden, half broken. We were trying to stuff chairs and all kinds of heavy objects so that, first of all, they couldn't get in the gate. And then, Florida rooms aren't very secure, so we're trying to figure out how to stuff some furniture at the end of the Florida room. So it took us a couple hours to secure the place. But that's essentially what the Florida room looked like. And this is a real place. And if I remember, the house was done in kind of a yellow color scheme, like a light tan or yellow color. The rest of or a lot of the rest of the rooms, maybe the kitchen, where the partying was going on, the kitchen as well was yellow for some reason. A lot of the scheme of the house was yellow. That's a description of the room, of the house and the room, as best I could remember. I want to say this is a real room. This is a real place. And whoever this is that's going to experience this, it's going to go through that. They're going to go stuffing things in the windows. They're going to go, when they see the signs in the sky, they're going to do exactly what I told you. So this is going to be a real event. Whoever that other person I'm with, now that I don't have to be there, and maybe that represents Jesus as well, being with that person to help them through that time so they can survive while other people that don't listen. This is very much like a Noah, like the Noah's Ark, where God's warning people, and very few people are actually listening to what God is saying. So this is a warning to people. This is a last second ditch effort to tell people. But this is going to be an event that's really going to happen. This person's going to live through it. This friend is going to be a real person. And they're going to experience exactly what I said. And they're going to know, because exactly the room, how I describe it, the house as I describe it, is exactly going to be a real place. So I know people are going to laugh at me for it and say all kinds of things. But if this is the place that then you know what I'm telling you is true, because I've never been there. I don't know whose house this is. I've never been there, and I just want to share that because it's a confirmation for somebody that is actually paying attention, that, is that person that probably will get in the boat at the last second. So anyways, I hope this encourages people to take precautions. You can look up all kinds of videos on 3 Days of Darkness. There's plenty out there. Obviously, 3 days is not that long, so really all you need is actually water and enough. You don't even need food. You can fast, but if you have small children, you obviously need to take, food for the children and all that. So that's it, yeah. So I want to encourage people to take precautions, and please, 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 it's a real thing. 3 Days of Darkness is a real thing. Don't pay attention to what these big YouTubers are, because they're wrong about a lot of stuff on YouTube. It seems like the bigger the channel, the more wrong they are many times. So anyways, we'll talk to you later. May God bless you, and may you take precautions. In Jesus' name, amen.